It was 1850. Gold was discovered in Nevada, which is now western Utah Territory. Many immigrants flocked to this area to find out this gold. However, they found something else too. They found what is now known as Comstock Lode, a special silver gold-like ore, kind of. In 1861, the town had over 25,000 inhabitants, and they needed some kind of transportation system. So, in the early days of the railroad, they decided to build a railroad. However, this railroad did not need many engines, as this railroad was only 14 feet long. This railroad will become known as the Virginia and Truckee Railroad. The first train was sent in 1869, and for years later, the railroad will be one of the best of the short lines. Still to this day, it still has the distinction of being called the Queen of the Short Lines. As the railroad began to grow, so did the increase in freight traffic. The railroad then realized they needed more locomotives than their 260s, and so they decided to make 10-wheeler Baldwins. Due to the boom at Tonopah, Nevada, the Virginia and Truckee Railroad ordered another locomotive to join their fleet. This order was placed in February of 1907, and then, in September, that locomotive arrived on the line. Unlike other engines of the line, this engine didn't have a name, only a number. Should become known as Virginia and Truckee, number 26. Like the other locomotives before her, Virginia and Truckee number 26 was a 260, or a 10-wheeler, as they were called back then. For the years to come, Virginia and Truckee number 26 will be the workhorse of the Virginia and Truckee Railroad, hauling many passengers, freights, and mine trains. Everyone adored this locomotive and her railway, and through over the years, this railroad would become a thriving one, even during World War II. However, things were gonna get worse. When 1950 came around, the Virginia and Truckee Railroad was facing some tough times. Over the years, traffic had slowed, and due to the railroad being built parallel to what is now US 395 and US 50, they knew they couldn't stand up for much longer with the new trucks coming around getting the goods and the buses carrying the passengers. I'm sorry to say, number 26 was one of those locomotives that was deemed to be scrapped. At this time, only 3 locomotives were still running on the line. Number 25, number 27, and of course, Virginia and Truckee number 26. It was decided that the workhorse of the line, number 26, which was the most popular locomotive, will be scheduled to haul the final train on May 30th, 1950. However, that didn't happen. On that day, May 1st, number 26 had just returned from a trip from Reno, and she backed onto the turntable and backed onto her single stall roundhouse, the one where she would always be in every single night. Her crew tied her down, oiled her gear, and she was tucked up for the night. Her crew expected was returned to make another trip south. Later that night, 32-year-old VT employee Fred Kirshner was cleaning out a mail car for the next day's journey. Suddenly, he heard a sudden whoosh. He looked behind him. The engine shed, with number 26 inside, was engulfed in flames. He immediately called the crew and called any fire department to get on the scene. What you are actually seeing is an actual photograph of the fire that consumed number 26. Even with the firefighters arriving on the scene, it was too late. By the time the fire was put out, number 26 was in a mess. Her pipes and machinery were warped by the intense heat, and her beautiful compressed wooden cab was completely destroyed. It was then decided that number 26 was damaged beyond repair. She was taken off the line and was sold for scrap in 1950. The workhorse of the mighty Virginia and Truckee Railroad was dead. Virginia and Truckee number 27 would board the final train on May 30th, 1950. But that wasn't the end for the Virginia and Truckee Railroad. 68 years later, in 2009, the railroad was rebuilt. It is now the Virginia and Truckee Heritage Railroad. You'll see a steam locomotive, a 280, number 29, or an ex-World War II diesel locomotive hauling those trains. Number 27 is at a museum, along with many other locomotives of the Virginia and Truckee Railroad, including the Tahoe, one of the first locomotives of the class, Inyo, and Dayton. However, on some nights, they'll say that on some nights, similar to that of number 26 Fatal Fire, you'll hear a whistle blowing in the wind. Then you'll hear slight puffing noises, getting louder and louder and louder. Then you see a headlamp coming straight at you, on the same line as the Virginia and Truckee Railroad, even though no trains are out for the night. And suddenly, a 260 rushes past you, then passes around the curve and disappears out of sight. You try to follow a locomotive, but it is nowhere to be seen. But a slight smell of oil can be seen in the air. And if you want to know what caused the fatal fire of number 26, many investigators pointed out that there must have been some oil dripped onto the tracks, and some combustion must have happened that caused the whooshing sound that was heard by Kirshner, and the fire that soon happened. However, some people say that it was number 26 herself that caused the fire. This incident has been dubbed the fiery suicide of VNT number 26, as they may have said that number 26 didn't want to be scrapped or be put on an inheritance line. She wanted to do what she wanted to do the most. She wanted to haul freight and passenger trains, not tourist trains, or be scrapped. People keep saying to this day that number 26 had committed suicide, and it kinda worked. She was damaged beyond repair and was scrapped in 1950. And you might see that 260 tender engine rushing down the line, and on a misty night. The engine's number, as it rushes past you, says it all. Number 26.